Bayern Munich is the best-run club in football, and it's not even close.
This is the moment for a fifth time. This is their time.
They are brilliant. They have been unbeatable. And Bayern Munich are the champions of Europe.
Bayern has won a record 32 Bundesliga titles, including the last 10 in a row. And it's won the prestigious Champions League 6 times. But unlike the other top clubs in Europe, they do not have endlessly wealthy foreign investors, an enormous pile of debt to pay off, or a revolving door of managers and owners. Instead, quietly nestled in the heart of Bavaria, Bayern stands out as a club that defies reckless chaos. Rather than buying championships, Bayern Munich masterfully engineers them. And the engine behind their decades of success on the pitch is a diversified business with a fortified balance sheet that might just be the largest sports organization in the world. So watch to the end of this video to learn how in a sport where teams often lose tens of millions of dollars a year, Bayern Munich manages to compete profitably.
Bayern Munich, kings of Europe again.
Over the last 2 decades, tens of billions of dollars have flooded into professional football franchises, and nowhere more intensely than the English Premier League. It kicked off with Roman Abramovich acquiring Chelsea for €199 million back in 2003. He was immediately the wealthiest owner in the Premier League and translated his elevated bankroll into championships in 2005 and 2006. His success attracted a rush of wealthy foreigners to also jump into the Premier League. Stan Kroenke bought Arsenal in 2007. Emirati Royal Sheikh Mansour bought Manchester City in 2008. And the next year, John Henry bought Liverpool, and Vichai Srivaddhanaprabha bought Leicester City. And it wasn't limited to wealthy individuals. Newcastle United was purchased by the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund. They all spent aggressively without any concern for making a profit and consolidated most of the world's best players. In 2022, club revenue for the English Premier League topped $6.4 billion, while the German Bundesliga sat at just $3.2 billion. Additionally, the Bundesliga explicitly blocks wealthy foreign owners from owning German teams. So, there's no wealthy businessman or sheikh bankrolling Bayern's success. In fact, the club is majority owned by its fans. So you must be wondering, how does Bayern Munich stay competitive? 75% of Bayern is owned by 300,000 members who pay a €60 annual fee. So they kick every season off with €15 million in annual recurring revenue. The other 25% is owned by 3 multinational corporations based locally in Bavaria. Adidas, Allianz, and Audi each hold 8.3%, but they aren't just silent partners, they're sponsors. Along with Deutsche Telekom, these German giants account for the majority of Bayern's sponsorship revenue. Just their kit deal with Adidas alone is worth more than $60 million per year. All these German companies are happy to sign long-term deals with Bayern because they know they'll always be competing for championships. They've been doing it for a very long time. They were promoted to the Bundesliga First Division in 1965 and have never been relegated. In their first 75 seasons in the Bundesliga, they've won the title 32 times. So for almost half of the seasons, Bayern has won. And this is a big deal because in the Bundesliga, TV broadcast revenue is not distributed evenly. Each year, 43% of domestic TV revenue will be allocated based off of your final position in the league table. For international broadcasts of Bundesliga games, that jumps to 65%. So Bayern, as the perennial top team, sits in pole position to receive the most revenue. Last year, they received €90 million in TV broadcast money, while the recently promoted Bochum received just $18 million. So when Bayern receives 5 times as much as one of its competitors, it deepens its relative advantage. That means it can monopolize local talent. For example, Thomas Müller, the most decorated German footballer in history, has spent his entire career with Bayern. Born in Bavaria, he came up through Bayern's academy and has played there every season. But Bayern can also outbid its Bundesliga rivals. In 2013, Bayern paid Borussia Dortmund $37 million for Mario Götze. The following year, they offered Robert Lewandowski a generous salary to also leave Dortmund. Recently, in 2021, Bayern paid RB Leipzig $42 million for Dio Upamecano. This local monopoly sets them up to compete with the best of Europe. In the UEFA Championship, Bayern competes for the award of Europe's top club team. They've won the Champions League 6 times. Only Spain's Real Madrid and Italy's AC Milan have more European titles. Since 2013, they're one of just 10 teams to even make the final. And in 2020, they beat PSG. Like the Bundesliga, UEFA broadcast revenue is also meritocratic, so strong performance translates into higher payments. And last year, Bayern made €115 million from the Champions League. But despite their outsized revenue from TV, broadcast revenue only accounts for 32% of their overall revenue mix. Last season, matchday revenue, tickets, corporate hospitality, food and beverage, and merchandise was 10%. The remaining 58% was commercial, which means merchandising, licensing, and sponsorship deals. It pays to have the backing of Adidas, Allianz, Audi, and T-Mobile. But there's one more factor that keeps Bayern in the black. Before I tell you, let me show you how much of an outlier their business success is within European football. For decades, Manchester United, Barcelona, and Juventus have been synonymous with championship football. Recently, that has also meant extravagant spending in order to compete. This has led them to accumulate a significant debt load, which now casts their future into doubt. Manchester United has the highest debt of any football club in the EPL, at over $500 million. The club has struggled to win trophies in recent years, and it's led to a decline in revenue. This has made it difficult for the club to service its debt, which leads to concerns that the club will have to sell star players in order to raise money. Juventus's debt is even crazier, €900 million. As with any business, high debt levels cannot be sustained forever. In fact, as interest rates rise, it will get harder and harder to carry a large debt burden. Barcelona's debt is estimated to be over €1 billion and has been a major factor in its recent decline. Barcelona was forced to sell some of its best players in recent years, including Lionel Messi and Neymar, in order to raise money. When you sell iconic players like that, you lose your competitive edge on the pitch, but you also lose your marketing appeal to commercial partners. That's why Bayern has taken a very different approach. While Bayern has consistently landed top local talent, they've also been meticulous about not hanging on to their players for too long. Most of the well-capitalized teams in Europe don't mind losing money in the transfer market. But for decades, Bayern has actually turned a profit every transfer period. Toni Kroos helped the team win a Bundesliga and UEFA title in 2013. But the next season, he was shipped to Real Madrid for €25 million, making a profit of $10 million. More recently, Bayern completed a shrewd transfer for famed Polish striker Robert Lewandowski. Lewandowski joined Bayern Munich on a free transfer from Borussia Dortmund in 2014. In 2022, he left for Barcelona for a fee of $45 million. Since they paid nothing to acquire him, Bayern Munich made a profit of $45 million on the transfer. They got the majority of his prime playing years, including 2020 and 2021, when he won FIFA Best Men's Player, then sold him at nearly peak value. Will they miss out on a few good playing years? Yeah, but they'll recycle that $45 million into the next crop of young talent. International money continues to flow into football. The Qatar Investment Authority bought French club Paris Saint-Germain. Recently, Neymar, Karim Benzema, and Cristiano Ronaldo were all recruited to play in the Saudi Professional League for 9-figure paydays. It begs the question, can Bayern continue to keep up? In the face of the Saudi Pro League, the answer is almost definitely yes. Bayern's developmental system is not predicated on winning bids for aging stars, but instead finding and signing them early. Additionally, their pole position in the Bundesliga and UEFA should keep them in the top tier of the sport. If there were to be a risk factor capable of taking down the best-run club in football, it wouldn't come from within the sport. Germany is a world-renowned manufacturing powerhouse, but its demographics are trending in a bad direction, and regional geopolitical conflict puts the economy at risk. Without cheap Russian natural gas and the shuttering of nuclear power facilities, Germany's manufacturing dominance will be greatly diminished. Things could go from bad to worse if their tenuous relationship with the Chinese market were severed over escalating geopolitical issues. Should the German economy run into long-lasting issues, those German multinationals that account for 58% of Bayern's revenue would not have the same marketing budgets. Simultaneously, German football fans would have less disposable income to spend on their fandom. This tail risk could be the only stumbling block capable of knocking Bayern off of Europe's highest rungs. Let's hope we don't see it happen.